third time. We're on it.
Let me know for please.
I think you can see it.
Copy.
I don't need to let you know.
We stick with the plan, no attack for now.
Every time Hamilton goes off, please report it.
I mean, he's going off every lap everywhere. I'm not going to talk the whole time.
slow, mate.
Okay, copy. Okay, Lou, so we now have a black and white flag for track limits. Turn 10.
I can't keep it on the track, the car won't turn.
third time. We're on it.
Let me know for place.
I think you can see it.
Copy.
I don't need to let you know.
You stick with the plan, no attack for now.
Every time Hamilton goes off, please report it.
I mean, he's going off every lap everywhere. I'm not going to talk the whole time.
down slow, mate.
Okay, copy. Okay, Lou, so we now have a black and white flag for track limits. Turn 10.
We can't keep it on the track, the car won't turn.
Oh.
third time. We're on it.
Let me know for place.
I think you can see it.
Copy.
I don't need to let you know.
We stick with the plan, no attack for now.
Every time Hamilton goes off, please report it.
I mean, he's going off every lap everywhere. I'm not going to talk the whole time.
This car's slow, mate.
Okay, copy. Okay, so we now have a black and white flag for track limits. Turn 10.
I can't keep it on the track, the car won't turn.
stick with the plan, no attack for now.
Every time Hamilton goes off, please report it.
I mean, he's going off every lap. Blocking off the whole time.
Start slow, mate.
Okay, copy. Okay, so we now have a black and white flag for track limits. Turn 10.
I can't keep it on the track, the car won't turn.
Yes, sir! Yes! Yes! Come on! Yes, sir! Yes!
Track limits again. This is the time. We're on it.
So here we go then, we've had 60 minutes of practice, time for another hour on these streets around Monte Carlo. Welcome around to round 8 of the Formula One World Championship in 2025, the 75th anniversary of Formula One and its World Championship, and a race that was on the calendar back in 1950 as well. 3 sectors, 2 miles of track, barriers just millimeters away from the cars at all times, and a top speed of 185 miles an hour. Just imagine that on the streets of Monte Carlo. 78 laps to come in Sunday's race, and the tyres have gone a step softer than we had last year. So welcome to the new C6 that we saw in Imola and here as well. That's the soft tyre, medium's the C5, hard is the C4. It was the medium last year. George Russell ran it for 77 laps in the race. Won't be doing that this year, minimum 2 pit stops. And alongside me in the commentary box as we look over on a perfect, gorgeous, south of France kind of day, Karun Chandhok, and the last person to win in Monaco by stopping more than once, Jenson Button, back in 2009. Yeah, so you know the secret of 2 pit stops around here to win.
Exactly, and I remember every single lap of that race.
Do you?
No. I didn't even know that I did 2 pit stops.
Yeah.
I know. So, yes.
So it was a blur from start to finish.
Yeah, it was. And I think that was the best race in history in Monaco. So we should do 2 pit stops again.
Yeah, well, you started on the super soft tyre and it really worked for him.
Yeah, so it's great. Awesome. Yes.
Great analysis, Jensen Button. Thank you very much. You can take a seat now. Karun, what did we see in FP1 that caught your eye?
Charles Leclerc was a surprise because they've been really downbeat about their... Well, he's been really downbeat about the Ferrari's chances this weekend. And he ended up at the top of the times. And you'd have to say, throughout the session, he was generally, you know, in that top 5, wasn't he? The times kept popping up every time, on every set of tyres, every run. He was there or thereabouts, apart from when he ran to the back of Lance Stroll, which was unfortunate.
And Lance Stroll, as a result of that, has a one-place grid penalty for Sunday's race. The stewards decided that he was very much at fault for that accident. Last place you want to get a grid penalty, but it's just the one.
Exactly, yes. Going back to Charles, it's interesting because he was saying that the car was turning very differently lefts and rights. So was it on lefts he had understeer and on rights he had oversteer. So I don't know if that's to do with the incident. They would have looked over the car, but still to go P1 with those issues, not bad.
Not bad at all, but did Ferrari turn up the engine just a little bit more than others? Everything will be equalised by the time we get to qualifying, and this Karun Chandhok, a practice session where the drivers can push a bit more and can start to simulate those qualifying runs.
Yeah, the track temperature is roasting now. It's up to 41 degrees, so a good chunk hotter than we had earlier today. But there'll be more rubber down. We've had an F2 qualifying session just before this, so they would have cleaned up more of the dust and various fluids that people spill out of their glasses as they're walking these streets of Monte Carlo at night.
Had a beer wash last night.
Yeah, something like that. And so it's just cleaning up, and you know, this guy we see, Oscar Piastri. In my book, he's got to be the favourite for pole position here this weekend. I think it's a car that we saw last year working well around the circuit. We've seen in Miami around slow speed corners. The car's very competitive. And Oscar's on a rich vein of form in qualifying.
Yes, I agree. But it's one of those tracks you cannot tighten up in qualifying. You know, and there's a lot of pressure on Oscar's shoulders, as there is Lando. I think Max, for me, is a little bit more relaxed in that situation. You know, he's won multiple World Championships. I think that he'll feel less pressure when it counts around here, and you have to be on fine form to get the best out of the car in Monaco. Max
Verstappen must be the favourite, surely, because in this decade he's won in the odds-numbered years, 2021 and 2023. We are here in 2025, game over, as far as I'm concerned, on the stats there.
He's won it already. We might as well go home.
Oscar Piastri, meanwhile, second here on 3 occasions. Last year, of course, in F1, and a couple of times in F2 as well in 2021. So it's not like he knows, not like he doesn't know how to do a good race around Monaco. I take your point, when it comes to qualifying, they seem to be the calmest drivers at the moment. But Lando Norris is a driver who has pace. We know he has pace. That Sauber's going to have to wait, quite frankly. It's time for a queue here at the moment. But we know Lando's got single lap pace. He just kind of needs to deliver it this weekend, Jensen.
He does. This is a high-pressure situation for him because obviously he's taken some good points out of Oscar the last couple of races, but some of it was down to getting a little bit lucky, I would have to say, with the safety car. But no, we need to see something more from Lando in qualifying, I think, here.
The wheels are rolling. Ted Kravitz is strolling down the pit lane. Afternoon, Ted.
Hello, Crofty. Hello, Jensen. Hello, Karun. Yes, as we get very close, the closest we get all season to the cars as they roll out of the pit lane. Team Radio.
Just a quick question from my side. This helmet and visor, is this the same as what I use in FP1?
Yeah, yes, it is, Max.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing then, Ted.
Because it seems, I mean, the pit lane is in shade now when it wasn't in free practice 1. And so Max was asking that when he was sat at the end of the pit lane, wasn't he?
Yes, he was.
So it might have looked a bit darker. I would imagine that's the reason for him asking. They're doing quite a fair bit of setup change to Max's Red Bull, actually, between the sessions. But that could be said the same for Charles Leclerc as well. And Crofty, lunch breaks at Aston Martin. They're very important. It's been cancelled in terms of Lance Stroll's crew, but that car is ready and is about to roll out of the garage. And something that you've been saying for a few races now, but Andy Cowell, the team boss, confirmed, oh, this is very close with Lance going out and George following him, but that all worked out okay. Andy Cowell, the team boss at Aston, confirming that the only contact about this year's car Adrian Newey has had with the 2025 design team has been at lunch breaks at the Aston Martin factory. I thought when you said that you were joking.
No, mate.
But it's absolutely true. He confirmed, the team boss confirmed that Newey, you know, between the hours of 9 and 12:30, and then, I don't know how long his lunch break is, 1:30 till 5, is 2026 concentrated. But in his lunch break, he's been sitting down with the people from 2025 and saying, now this car, I've had a thought, you might want to do this. And that's why the upgrades are looking so good.
Yes, he gets out his cheese and tomato sandwiches and has a chat with the chaps and the chapesses from the design office. And this is his first race for Aston Martin, so he's the first time he's got up close and personal to this car as well. Karun, what are you looking at outside the commentary box at the moment?
It's really, you know, the grandstand's absolutely full, bathed in sunshine, and every time Charles Leclerc comes, it's like they sort of rise in their seats, even in free practice. It's brilliant to see. But in case anyone asking Martin is hungry because the lunch break got cancelled, there's somebody with an enormous bag of plums I could see right outside our commentary box window. So I'm sure they've got a few spare.
Fruit update.
And they're right opposite Aston, Crofty. So if they can throw like a cricket player, you could get it from the boundary, I reckon, somewhere to the wicketkeeper.
Yes. How far can you throw a plum? Answers on a postcard to Karun Chandok, care of the Monaco Grand Prix. Right, back to business. Is it me, or is this a bit later this session than we normally have? And I know the track's absolutely roasting. There's a lot more shade on the track than you would normally get for an FP2 session.
That's very true. I've never actually thought of that around Monaco, but yeah, you got a lot of shade, haven't you? So obviously you've got some parts of the track that are roasting, but it's if a whole track is in the sun, you are going to get a massive rise in tyre temperature, but they have time to cool down. We also have the tunnel here, which will help the tyres cool.
But it's also a bit like Baku, because you get the light and shade from the sun getting through the tall buildings there. I don't know how off-putting it is for the drivers when there's a constant kind of change in lights coming through their visor.
It can be on the first couple of laps because of your reference from the previous session, but they'll soon get used to it. Anytime a driver complains, honestly, Crofty, about shadows and sun in their eyes, I always say to them, go do Le Mans.
Exactly.
Because nothing is worse than the low sun at Le Mans.
And that's probably what Max was referring to when he said, is my helmet and visor the same? Because he drove out the pits and the shadows were very different to the previous session.
Well, this lap's pretty decent for him so far as well, as Piastri goes fastest by just under 0.2 of a second, and Verstappen makes his way past Franco Colapinto, one of 6 rookies on duty in their first Monaco Formula 1 Grand Prix. Carlos Sainz goes 6th fastest, Verstappen through the swimming pool section onto Rauskas. Another slow corner, patiently waiting to pick up the throttle. Final corner, Anthony Noge, the man who created the Monaco Grand Prix all those years ago, dashed to the line, goes quickest by 1/10.5 from Oscar Piastri, and all the while the track improving and evolving, and that time, as good as it is, certainly won't stay the fastest throughout this session as Fernando Alonso crosses the line and goes 4th fastest, 7/10 off the Red Bull of Verstappen and the 2 McLarens of Piastri and Norris.
Yeah, Max's lap actually looked quite neat and tidy. It didn't look like he was pushing it too hard. The rear seemed really stable. So there's a lot more to come as it grips up through the session.
If you weren't with us for FP1, maybe you were taking your GCSE exams, and I hope it was a very good day at the exam table.
Please fix your 5th sync problem.
You wouldn't have heard that message in FP1, but you would have heard us talking about the pit stop strategy for this year, a 2-stop strategy mandated by a change in the regulations. First time we've ever had in the regulations a race that has to have 2 pit stops per driver, which is going to throw a little bit of chaos and confusion and a kerfuffle into proceedings, and we hope Karun Chandok give us some sort of strategic interest beyond lap 1.
That's the idea. I think, first of all, I think it's really positive that the F1 community, meaning the teams Formula One and the FIA recognize that, you know what, the fans... Oh, he stops the barrier.
Isaac Hadja has gone into the barrier on the entry into the swimming pool chicane, and you heard the noise before you saw the car, and that is a red flag, understandably. Well, we waited about 10 minutes for the red flag in FP1. We've waited 7 minutes for the red flag in FP2. That is a typical Monaco kind of accident, Jenson Button, where you're just pushing, trying to find that extra little bit of margin, and you either get it right, or in that case, you get it a bit scrapey.
Yeah, he did, and that's a hefty hit on the rear end. That's probably, he's so angry with himself. I mean, the biggest issue is...
Should I try to bring it?
Yes, yes.
As it's a red flag, it's the right call. Get off the track, but I mean, that's very likely that's done gearbox damage.
He's going.
Yeah, he's kept the engine running, and if he can bring it back to the pits, they might be able to fix it and hope that there's not too much damage, and then get him back out again. You can see how slow he's moving, because that amount of rubber, even at this speed, Jenson, flapping around near the diffuser and near the floor, is going to create quite a bit of damage.
Yeah, it was a big impact. They're going to have all of that off the car anyway, most likely. What went through the rear suspension then was probably too much to go back out in this session. So it's a shame. It's such a tricky round here, isn't it? Because you're trying to, you know, these cars are big now, and it's so difficult to not touch a wall. But the apex ones are always the worst, because you bounce off it really hard.
Just missed it with the front left. Didn't miss it with the rear.
I think he was a bit unsettled coming in, because watching him when we had the onboard camera, or the front-facing camera, he was on the curb on the right-hand side, which you don't want to be, really. And I think it's upset the car a little bit on turning, and he's just misjudged it a bit.
They didn't flinch.
I was just about to say that. Those marshals there did not move a muscle when Isaac Hadja hit the barrier. Bravo.
Wow, ice in their veins. That's impressive.
Yeah,
more impressive than his car control stop hitting the other barrier there.
Yeah, good point. Ted, down to you.
Well, yeah, so Hadja comes in, and because the inside of the rim actually still had the tyre on, it wasn't carving out a little channel in the tarmac, so there wasn't much damage to the road. The Automobile Club de Monaco will be happy about. And actually looking at it, it doesn't seem to be that much damage to the suspension. Obviously, they'll have to take it apart, and that will take 10, 15, 20 minutes. But I don't think that will be session over. Do you know what? I'd say 60-40. I think he might get away with that, but it's a very big 40. That doesn't make any sense, does it, Crofty? He might get away with that. Looking at it and looking how intact everything looked, I think he might just get away with that in terms of some running later in the session. But I'll let you know.
Fingers crossed. Thank you, Ted.
40.9.
49.9, maybe.
Once again, he comes up with a number. I'm not going to disagree with him.
A big 40.
Yeah. Well, that's a shame for Isaac Hadja, isn't it? Because he was going well in FP1 as a rookie, and actually, again, as a rookie, you want track time.
Yeah.
That's the absolutely most important thing this weekend.
This is a key session, isn't it? Because it's when the circuit's at its highest grip level.
Changing his helmet.
He is. Because of the time of the day and also the amount of running on track, this is the best session, really, to get a good understanding of the car. Yeah, FP3, but it's had a night of road cars driving on it and spillage, let's just say.
Yeah. Track's been resurfaced as well. We'll talk about that in a little while. But let's go trackside. Martin Brundle, were you down at the chicane a few moments ago?
Yeah, we were. Yeah, the little piece of barrier there that the car hit. It was like a mini explosion, basically, where these are the fine marshals who just stood their ground. But it was like, it was like an explosion, and then bits of wheel rim flying up in the air and landing, but they've already collected them up, and the car stopped halfway down there towards Tabac Corner. What I could see as he was driving away to the pits is an awful lot of smoke coming out the back into the sunshine, where the floor was rubbing on the ground. So whilst he may not have done that much suspension damage, I can imagine the underfloor of the car is not going to look very special at all. But the zone is now clear, and I'll stay here and wait for some action to talk you through that as well a little bit later on. Can't imagine they'll be very long now before they're underway, Croft team.
Yep, another minute. Thanks ever so much, Martin. We'll be back to you in about 5 minutes' time yes, you stand your ground, because you get some incredible shots down there at the Nouvelle Chicane. Yeah, the track's been resurfaced this year from Tabac Corner, which was the corner after Isaac Hadja had his moment, all the way through to turn 3, Massenet, up towards the casino. So it's a smoother surface on that part of the track, but it's not exactly the most abrasive surface here at the best of times.
Yeah, no, it looks lovely out there. You know, compared to a lot of other tracks, it's super smooth, the surface, but yeah, not so abrasive.
How much do you reckon that harbour's worth this weekend?
I dread to think.
I should ask Karun Chandok. He'll have a number. It's only Mike.
I can tell you how much one of the rubber dinghies is worth, because that's sort of my level.
That's your world.
Very splendid you look at it too.
I used to have a boat.
You did?
And I used to think it was rather large until I turned up at the Monaco Grand Prix, and it looks like a tender.
Honestly, you know those signs that say "Visit Monaco"? They should follow the tagline that says, "It'll make you feel really ugly and poor pretty quickly."
Correct. Tell you who has got a boat in the harbour this weekend, Max Verstappen. His new boat is in there, Unleash the Lion, on the side. Have you seen it yet?
I haven't, no.
I haven't. Splendid craft.
Splendid, yes.
Were you there?
No, I've not been on that. I've not been on that one yet.
Was it like a 30-metre?
I'll show you a picture. Yeah.
Was yours 31?
I think it was,
yeah.
It's not one of the biggest boats.
The big ones are, what, 150 metres plus?
No, the big ones.
I mean, there's a cruise ship there.
Well, yeah, that doesn't really count. But you can rent rooms on that as well.
Yes.
I heard. That's pretty cool.
If you want to do cruising?
Cruising, but not cruising.
I think there was definitely something wrong with those steeros. Like, the quality of that was really bad.
Copy that. We'll sort it overnight.
I think he's a lot happier with helmet and tear-offs at number 2. Yeah, you can cruise your way down to Monaco. You can... Well, there are various ways to do this Grand Prix where you don't have to spend a lot of money. Ted did a little feature on that a few years ago, and I have to say I have not seen Monaco look busier on a Friday than it is this weekend. There's a lot of people in town, which is fabulous to see. Right, we're about to go for a lap here with Carlos Sainz. 3 podiums in Monaco. Take us through this lap, JB.
Right, here we go, into turn 1. This is always a tricky one, getting your braking right here, as we found out earlier in the day. Nicely through there, left a little bit of space on the exit wall, as it's lap 1. It's probably worth it on this run. Up the hill, over into Casino. This is a fast left-hand. Oh, big twitch through there. That's definitely not what you want. I think he's backed out of it now.
It was a twitch and a slide, it looked like as well, didn't it?
That's never nice through there. Again, you have no runoff, so if you carry on with that, you're in the wall. So yeah, he did the right thing to back out.
Yes. Even going around the Lowe's hairpin there, it did look like he had backed out a bit. We'll go for another lap in a moment. Here's Isaac Hadja's Racing Bulls, and that's the extent of the damage at the rear.
Yeah, I'm just trying to work out whether they're putting bits on or taking them off.
Rear wing looks like it's coming off, correct?
But he's still in the car. Alan Permain there in the background, the sporting director of the team, so he's sort of overseeing the repair job on the back of the car. But yeah, for Isaac's sake, I hope he does manage to get a few laps in.
Quite 44 minutes to go, so they've still got plenty of time to work away on that one. The key, though, is getting out when people are doing their qualifying simulations, so he can take part when the cars are at their fastest, not trying to do a quali simulation when people are then on to race simulations, because there'd be at least another 20 chicanes in your way.
That's the issue, and you can't overtake them, even if they're on high fuel and you're on new tyres. Fernando, purple sector, look at that.
Going so fast, he confused the cameraman for a minute there, Fernando Alonso.
Still haven't seen him.
He's there somewhere.
Where is he?
There he is. Oh. We got him. Round Anthony Noge he goes. And to cross the line, is Fernando Alonso about to set the fastest time? No, fourth fastest once again, a little bit closer to Max Verstappen on this occasion.
Oh, he looked like he was going in deep there.
Yeah, when you pick up a car just on that bit of the swimming pool exit, it takes you a couple of seconds to adjust to it.
Your eyes too, yeah.
Yeah, too right. Here's Lando Norris to cross the line, goes second fastest. 88 milliseconds between himself and Max Verstappen, but Oscar Piastri has got the fastest middle sector, and as Hülkenberg goes 7th, Piastri goes to the top, and he's put a big distance between himself and Max Verstappen.
Yeah, Lando didn't have a great run through the final corner. Turned it a bit early, then touched the inside curve, and that seemed to destabilize the car a bit. So I think he lost a bit of time, not just through the corner, but on the run up to the line as well.
George Russell had set the fastest first sector. His teammate Kimi Antonelli's just got a bit quicker, and I think it's Yuki Tsunoda that is just in George Russell's way.
I think he'll be okay there. I think he hadn't got on the throttle pedal yet, so I don't think it really lost him any time.
He didn't do a personal best in the final sector, though.
Yeah, but not in Fernando Alonso. He didn't have traffic.
That is very true. Antonelli next. Through to back he comes. Slowly but surely building up his pace during the course of FP1.
Nice lap.
He's finding some grip there.
Very good through the second part of the swimming pool.
Hugging the outside line through that exit. All on the medium tyres at the moment. Only Sainz and Behrman have run the softs so far. Antonelli to the line.
Yeah,
goes second fastest.
So I think he went a bit deep into Raskas there. Had to have a second stab at turning away from it. But a bit of markup on the front right on the first time. Looks like, I don't know, it was pickup or something when he came out of the tunnel. Maybe. Wow, look at the sector times, though.
Hard tyre working well here for Charles Leclerc. 18.8 to 34.2 is sector times. And the man who was fastest in FP1, I think about to go fastest here in FP2.
We'll see what the last sector's like. It's all slow, pretty much.
Wow. Half a second clear of Oscar Piastri. They'll be standing in the grandstands again as Oscar Piastri goes into the barrier at Sandovots, where often drivers lock up and do a little shimmy to the left to take the escape route. That didn't happen for Piastri. Second red flag of this session, and he's lost a front wing, as you can see. He's going to have to go around the whole lap without one now.
He's also lost a set of tyres. As you can see, the massive flat spots on those tyres. They're game over.
No, I was saying in FP1, I don't remember Piastri ever crashing the car or damaging it. This is classic Moriwaka commentator curses.
I remember it was Monaco FP2 2025, right, Guru?
With 19 minutes into the session, Crofty, it was.
Excellent. Yeah. Well, good memory on that one. There are.
Oscar, are you okay?
Yes.
Bring the car back very carefully.
Yep, cover.
There are Monaco accidents, and that is a fairly atypical one, isn't it?
It's such a difficult one because at one moment in time you have to decide, do I go left down the runoff area or can I make it? And it's just a little bit too late. He was thinking about going left, but he was going in too hot.
Had he have continued to go left, car would have spun round.
Yeah, he would have. The point that he locked up at that stage, you're then sliding. Yeah. You haven't got steering anymore. You're just steering one way. So for him to have come off the brake, he would have just had an impact at a higher speed and taken off a corner probably. So
it would have been brave to have turned left and lifted at that point.
Yeah,
I think there was a slight twitch to the left, but it made no difference with the tyres whatsoever. Red flag here, though, because of Oscar Piastri's crash, second one of the session. Isaac Hadja was the first. There'll be a few minutes for the marshals to now clear things up again. Charles Leclerc fastest. Yeah, so the man that's completed every single Grand Prix racing lap since Sao Paulo 2023 is back in the pits again, and there is the extent of the damage. The front wing is going to need changing. What McLaren will hope is that there's no further damage and they can get him back out there again. In his current form, well, he's got 5 podiums there. He's actually got 6 podiums in a row. The 6th driver to do that in the hybrid era, i.e. since the start of 2014. 6 podiums in a row for Oscar Piastri, and of course he leads the World Championship.
It's quite a smart way to crash, actually, wasn't it? Because the suspension, no part of the suspension hit the wall.
Yeah.
So hopefully it will just be a change of nose box and send it back out.
He straightened the wheel up nicely, didn't he, for when he went in.
That's what I mean. So he hit it square on and
Yeah.
just sort of bounced back out without the bit of the front wing that he's left there.
So he thought about crashing, how he was going to crash.
Well, how much time have you got to do that?
Well, nothing. It's a split second, it really is. I mean, it feels like you're going forever, and you can see the accident happening a mile off, but it also happens really quick. So, but no, he did the right thing of straightening everything up. Isaac having a little snooze.
Or just mentally preparing himself to get back out again, whatever way you want to read that one.
Which year was Isaac Hadjar born, Coffee? I can't quite read the sheet that's behind you.
Oh, I knew you'd ask me that.
I'm trying to work out how many years it was after Imola 94. So it's quite amazing that he's a Senna fan, isn't he?
Yeah.
I think he probably, you know, he was born long after Senna was tragically killed.
He was born on the 28th of September 2004, was Isaac Hadjar.
Years.
Yeah.
10 years after.
But as he says, when you think of Senna, you think of Monaco. And I'm a big Senna fan, so kind of had to do the Monaco tribute helmet here.
Fair enough.
Rather than save it for Brazil. It's Max Verstappen. Ooh, hello.
Mate, unbelievable, these guys, so dangerous. I know it's only practice, but for me that's just unacceptable. That kind of impeding, it's so dangerous in that swimming pool.
That was Gabriel Bortoleto again, behind this time Yuki Tsunoda. Remember, Bortoleto was the one that was slightly in Max's way that wasn't investigated earlier on today. But that is not, it's not a part of the track you want to see cars going that slowly.
There are places, Casino Square, coming out of the tunnel, and there, swimming pool. You just can't. You're doing 160 plus miles an hour. It's... Yeah.
And it's blind.
It is,
completely. That's completely blind. You literally come through to back and you aim for the wall on the left, and suddenly the wall disappears and the curb's there, isn't it?
Trouble is for Bortoleto, he's going slow because Tsunoda ahead of him is backing up.
Yeah.
And I would imagine there was another car somewhere that was backing up too. I mean, the backing up can start at the back sometimes.
And if there's one car, maybe he can see what's going on behind. But when, you know, Tsunoda stands in front, he can't see what's happening behind the car behind him, right?
Yeah.
So, I think it just should be more information being fed to the drivers from the engineers of where cars are coming, because they knew that.
You know,
green light at the end of the pit lane. We can get this session going again. This happens just before the red flag. Max Verstappen behind Gabriel Bortoleto.
Mate, unbelievable, these guys, so dangerous. I know it's only practice, but for me that's just unacceptable. That kind of impeding, it's so dangerous in that swimming pool.
And I've got a lot of sympathy there with Max Verstappen, but if you were the stewards, who would you find at fault? Would you find Bortoleto, because he was the car in front of Verstappen, or Tsunoda, who was the car going slowly in front of Bortoleto?
It's a very, very difficult one. And that's why nothing's been done about it, I guess. But there was also another car before the swimming pool that was going slow in front of Max. I just think that has to, I don't know what they can do in terms of ruling of stopping the cars from going so slow around here.
I think there's also get out of jail opportunities, isn't it? Like, you know, Tsunoda can go a bit quicker through the runoff area of the chicane and then just stay to the left. Then you're completely off the line.
Yeah.
And you could then dawdle along at slow pace to allow the quick cars past. So there are ways, but it requires compliance from the drivers going slowly, basically.
Do they not have the minimum lap time in practice?
Yeah, but I think they kind of get a free pass if they're slowing down below that to let other people pass.
That
so that's
comes
the
in
argument
tomorrow, really.
Yeah, but they all use that argument, don't they? I was below the time because I was letting people pass.
Well, you should have given it more of a gap earlier on.
Well, that's why they try and stagger it coming out of the pit lane.
Yeah.
But here, when you're doing multiple laps, it's...
Oh.
That was a bit twitchy from Antonelli. Let's head to Ted down in the pit lane.
Down at McLaren, Crofty, and Oscar's ready to go. The old nose cone came off. They did a quick once-over of the floor, of the front suspension, of the bulkhead, and it was all fine. It's just sitting in the garage now, just chilling out, just getting ready to go. So 3 things on this, Crofty, for your discussion up there in the comm box. One, what's this with all the guys crashing? Do they not know that, you know, it seems a bit more than usual? And although number 2, now is a good time to do it compared to in qualifying or the race. And 3, is ice cool Oscar just going to shrug this off and say, yeah, mate, crashed, took off the wing, not a problem, let's go out there and attack it? Or is he going to be a little circumspect? And if he is, might that open the door for Lando?
Well, we shall see on that one, Ted, but it's a very intriguing prospect coming up. Let's go trackside, shall we? We saw him when there was no action. Now there's plenty of action. Martin Brundle.
Yeah, down at turn 10, where we saw the incident earlier on. Just look how close these fine wheelsmiths get to that barrier that Hadjar hit. They've got to be close to it as we wait for a car to come through, and you see it appear. They've really got to skim that just the other side of the marshals there as the Williams goes through. Now, you know the ride height of these cars at top speed when the aerodynamics are compressing the suspension, the tyre sidewall. You know the ride height because they spark, they're hitting the ground. As they reduce speed, especially here in Monaco, down to 30, 40 miles an hour, the car comes up. But those curbs, oh, wild side there from the Alpine. Those curbs are still way higher than the ride height of the car. So you see the drivers trying to use the curb to just gently turn the car. And there we go. And that was a lot of curb there from Lando. So his car hops. And you're looking for your suspension to damp that out. But the sidewall of the tyre has no shock absorber. So the car bounces across the road. And when you turn right, you've got to have your weight distribution over on the left-hand side. And if you get it sweet, it's a little sort of hop, skip and a jump. The car settles down in a straight line and you go. And you get perfect traction. And they're big cars to do that in. They're over 2 meters wide, they're over 5 meters long. And so to hit the sweet spot there every time is really hard to do. Ferrari going quite slowly of Charles Leclerc there. Really hard to do, hard to be consistent. And you get a bit of wheel spin, something flying off the RB there. And the barrier on the left-hand side of there that's purple, you've got to be careful not to hit that one as well. So I would say 1 in 20 cars that are coming through here are missing the chicane. The Nouvelle chicane, I hate calling it turn 10 because it's way better than that. So, lot of action, and there goes the Mercedes to prove the point. There goes the Alpine to prove another point. Back to you.
Thanks ever so much, Martin. That was the Alpine of Colapinto going through the chicane there. A lot happening out on track currently. Hamilton fastest from Alonso and Leclerc, the top 3. Drivers still, well, Hamilton still with his best time on the medium tyre. He hasn't actually put the soft tyres on in this session. Ollie Behrman's going to be investigated for a red flag infringement after the session. Did he leave the pit lane? I wonder, with the red flag. With the red flag coming out, did he leave the pit lane just a little bit too late on that?
It could be also speed, because you're meant to follow a delta time when the red flag comes out. So
yeah,
it could be a speed thing as well.
One thing to say, Haas is still waiting for a reply from the FIA about the qualifying mix-up in Imola last week. They actually asked for an explanation from the FIA as to why Ollie Behrman's lap time was deleted because the red flag came out. I've read the sporting regulations, JB. I can't find a bit that says your lap time gets deleted, but I'm not a steward.
Yeah, it's trouble is, it's all very late anyway, isn't it? None of it matters anymore for him. It's just a pain. Interestingly, Charles he's got the 3rd quickest lap, and he's only been out on the hard tyre. He's just put the soft on, so it'd be nice to see what he can do out there.
Yeah, I mean, the lap time between Leclerc and Hamilton, within a tenth of each other, you know, on 2 different types of tyre, isn't it? So yeah, it's quite hard to work out. And then, you know, obviously you got Alonso on the soft, but you got Russell on the soft, slower than the two Ferraris. So it is a bit confusing.
It is, isn't it? And Hulkenberg up there as well, obviously on the soft tyre. But it's a good lap by him. They're all still finding their feet, aren't they, though, and trying to find some clear track. Oh, a bit of debris on the track.
Charles Leclerc said there was a bit of debris, not for long. Paper.
In my front wing, I should have said.
Yeah, that needs to be just removed a little bit. Isaac Hadja, by the way, is back on track. Oscar Piastri is back on track. Here's Esteban Ocon going to the swimming pool chicane. Oh.
Yeah, he went a bit deep through the first part, didn't he?
Yeah.
What is he doing?
Well, to be honest, I thought he took a little bit of curve there. And then, obviously, there was a Red Bull backing up to try and make a gap in front of him. Oh. And he actually hit the wall.
That was that wasn't even on his time lap. He'd backed off and getting ready to go, I think.
Yes. He's a bit off, isn't he? He's about 4/10 off Behrman. And actually, I was talking to some of the team members. They're saying even in Imola, Behrman was, if he got that lap, that, you know, the controversial on the red flag, Behrman would have been in the top 10. He would have been, you know, up there, and his race pace was very good. Whereas,
Charles Leclerc.
Wow, look at this pace.
Flying here.
That looks good out there, doesn't it?
At times, it looks really, really good, to be fair. And at times, it looks all a little bit scrappy. The word keeps coming. You talk to anyone at Ferrari, and they're still playing down any expectations for this weekend. But there's half a second between Leclerc and Alonso. And we're into the 1:11.4s now. On board with Lando Norris, who's lost time.
So he found 7/10, Scotty, between the hard tyre and the soft. So we'll see what Lewis finds between the medium and soft. As we see, here comes Lando Norris.
To the line, Lando Norris. Where's this going to put him? Stays 8th fastest. As I say, he lost time continually through there, and it wasn't necessarily because of traffic.
I don't think it's a new set, though, is it? Or is this one that was an interrupted run?
I would imagine it is a new set, because it's the first time he's put the softs on in this session. Now, Lewis Hamilton finds himself behind Isaac Hadja, and that's going to cause him to back off. And that's why they fill for several laps of pushing around Monaco. And with Hamilton backing off, now Behrman's backing off, now Lawson's backing off, now Bortoletto's backing off, and eventually Sainz and Gasly are going to have to try and back off as well. And that's all happening between the final corner and Rascat. Now we're on board with Lewis Hamilton. So keep us through this one, Jamie.
Yeah, you can see he didn't quite have the temperature in the tyres. The front right lock-up. Oh, it's so bumpy, isn't it, on the way out to Casino Square. Carrying a lot of speed through there, and it feels even quicker than this in the car. It's just insanely quick. Little front lock-up there on the right. That's pretty normal. There, he's backed off.
Is it bumpier going into Casino Square, because that's where the resurfacing stops and then the old surface comes through?
Yeah, and also these cars, you have to run them low, don't you, for the ground effect, so it's lower than previous years. But no, I don't think his tyres were in the window. They weren't ready for a push lap then. And in Monaco and in FP2, you know, you can do a lap on a set of soft tyres, slow down, set a lap, slow down, set a lap. You know, you can get many laps on a set of tyres around here, and the circuit's improving so much.
The unknown this year, of course, though, C6 tyres. How many laps can you get out of a C6 tyre? Because this year's medium was last year's soft. That they knew about, but this year they don't know quite how this one's going to go.
Yeah, the thing is, Tofty, this is a circuit which is also about driver confidence, unlike Imola, where we had the C6. And I think, to add to Jensen's point, the drivers learn with every lap and they build that confidence, which is sometimes, even if the tyres lost a little bit of the peak performance, the driver confidence sort of compensates for that, and so the lap time can improve.
So is this all about confidence from Leclerc today? Is that what we're seeing? Last year's race winner from pole position. Has he come here full of confidence when he's got into the car?
Yeah, and the thing is, he's getting in the lap and going bang, first lap with the tyre, which puts him in good stead, because when we get to qualifying, it won't be the 3rd or 5th lap, especially when you get through Q2 into Q3. It's going to be bang, getting it done on lap 1, and he's got the confidence to do that, whereas other people have to find that confidence.
I don't know if hustly is a verb, but that was really hustly from Charles Leclerc. Kind of manhandling it through some of those corners.
Yeah.
I mean, he's nearly half a second up on Lando. And that's Lando also on a new set, as you were saying before. So, that's super impressive. Yeah. I mean, even if you say engine mode, right? This isn't an engine power-sensitive circuit. Right. Half a second is a big margin. Verstappen's struggling, nearly 8/10 off.
When you look at it compared to Charles has good, strong front end. He's able to muscle the car around here. But Max isn't able to do that with Red Bull. It has too much understeer in it. And then you're just left there waiting until the front grips.
So who's out of place here a little bit? You'd say maybe Kimi Antonelli. He's just gone 13th fastest in the Mercedes. His teammate George Russell only 11th fastest. So maybe that is where Mercedes are currently. That was close.
The rear kicked out of Linecroft, the first part of the swimming pool. He caught it, but
I think he touched the wall there.
He might have scraped it.
That's the second.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
He survives, though.
Yeah. Williams looking strong again, aren't they? 4th and 6th
yeah,
so far.
Alex P4, under a 10th behind Lando in P2. So, yeah, you'd say that they are looking strong.
Right. Is Oscar Piastri going to be circumspect, or is he going to really go for it, is the question that was posed by Ted Kravitz. And now he's got his teammate backing out of the way as he makes his way around Raskas. But through the first 2 sectors, he was already half a second down on the best time that we've seen from Charles Leclerc. Getting on the power, it looks like the McLaren front end was just struggling for a bit of grip on the main straight there.
Yeah, that's the thing around here as well. You can't have an understeery car. You know, you obviously want the rear grip for traction, but you've got to get the car placed. You know, if you don't have the car turned, you can't use that positive traction, so you need a strong front end, and he didn't have that.
A bit like Alex Albon.
Yeah.
It is a terrible last sector for Piastri. He lost half a second just in the last sector.
I have to say, though, the Ferrari, the front end looks really, really strong in that initial turn in.
Lewis Hamilton next then to try and set a lap and improve. He's currently on a 1:12.0.
So is there something, Jensen, that we think in the high downforce package? Because one of the things but they've not been able to hit that peak performance. We saw in Imola, we saw in Miami. The Imola race, as soon as he had free air, Leclerc was as quick as the cars up front. Do we think that in the peak downforce configuration, everyone's having it on the car a bit higher here in Monaco because of it? Suddenly the Ferrari isn't as relatively uncompetitive, should we say, over one lap?
Yeah, and funnily enough, they've actually got a rear wing on it they haven't used all year. It's from last year.
Yeah.
Funnily enough. Oh, that was close.
Through to back.
He kissed it, didn't he?
Yeah. Barely the width of a bit of paper, if anything at all, between Verstappen and the barriers. Lando Norris has just put in the fastest middle sector, but he's still 3/10 behind Charles Leclerc. Verstappen dashes towards the line, crosses it, now goes 6th fastest, just goes ahead of Carlos Sainz, who still, Carlos Sainz has his best time on the medium tyres. In fact, yeah, hasn't used those soft tyres for about 7 laps now. Ollie Behrman is another one that's backside once again to the swimming pool entry, and there with his trunks on, Martin Brundle is waiting for us.
I am indeed. This is the entrance to the swimming pool. When we see them come through there, you can see the yaw on the car as they turn in at high speed, and this is terrifying. White flags flying with cars going slowly. Lando Norris comes through, and then somebody will rock up like Leclerc in the Ferrari, absolutely flat out on a flyer. Charles Leclerc. Sauber comes through too, so you can see the speed differential. But as they pitch the car in, they're still accelerating out, still going up the gears. That one's going slowly. Wow, that was Tsunoda coming through there. And the back of the car is just really rolling. Sidewall of the tyre complaining. Car's going, and you can just see the slide to make the car turn through the corner. They have to run those 2 curves. You can see that. You can hear it. That vibration is just, yeah. That was an Aston Martin.
No one is doing the 10.
Opposite.
It's so distracting.
Coming through there.
Why they missed the corner?
Smell the floor of the car burning.
You are allowed
you
to.
can see where the floors of the cars are hitting the racetrack. Through here, they have got the speed. They are running lower to the ground and a few bumps. And again, the RB with a lot of oversteer, back end sliding coming through there. Wonderful spot to watch a Formula 1 car and a Formula 1 driver pushing their luck. And there's nowhere to go if you get it wrong. Back to you.
Thanks, Martin. Martin Brundle trackside. Be back in the commentary box tomorrow as Liam Lawson goes third fastest. Fernando Alonso in the top 5. It's Ferrari, McLaren, Racing Bulls, Ferrari and Aston Martin. Where's Isaac Hadjar going to put his Racing Bulls? Crosses the line now. Only 16th fastest for the man who calls the first red flag of this session. Shall we just say, Jenson Button and Karun Chandler, this is not what we necessarily thought would be the makeup of the top 5 when we came into the commentary box for this session?
No, I totally agree. And you look at the people that have scraped the barrier or been in the wall, they're all a lot further down, aren't they? When you look at Hadjar, Stroll, also, who else has been off? Piastri as well. It definitely sets you back a little bit. You need every single lap around this place to build confidence.
And still Carlos Sainz and Ollie Behrman to come on the soft tyre, or maybe another soft tyre, although they do their runs a little bit earlier, and therefore you won't see them in the top 5 because the track hadn't evolved by that stage.
We've got a race on our hands.
Well, it's Lawson behind Hamilton. Cue radio message.
Yeah, mate, these guys. Lewis, I don't know.
Yeah, traffic paradise there.
Traffic paradise. He gets past Hamilton eventually. This is Charles Leclerc en route to the first corner.
He snatched the front, and but still made the apex, didn't he? Just a little bit of under rotation. Then
he actually turned in more. When he locked the front, he actually turned more to make sure he made the corner, and he took a lot of apex curve, which saved him.
Lewis has gone second quickest within a 10th.
He has.
Or just over a 10th.
A Ferrari 1-2. Some data traces. I'm looking at the speed trap. Guess what? The Ferraris, Hamilton and Leclerc, are fastest in the speed trap. And I'm just putting it out there that I think that they've got their engines up a little bit more than others. I know it's not a power-sensitive circuit necessarily, but I just think they might be running a slightly higher engine mode than others today.
Absolutely possible. You know.
It's not that I don't want to believe it, you know. Great, Charles Leclerc comes back, wins here this year. What a phenomenal story that will be. You know, Lewis Hamilton wins for Ferrari. What a phenomenal story that will be. Lewis Hamilton, the first man to race car number 44 for Ferrari in Monaco since Maurice Trintignant back in the day, 70 years ago this weekend when he went and won it. So, you know, that will be quite the story. But I don't quite believe, from what I was hearing beforehand from Ferrari to what I'm seeing now, that come tomorrow, they're going to be 1 and 2.
Yeah, and they have been very good in the first sector, which is straight, turn 1 and up the hill. And up the hill is where you know, if you have more power, you really see the difference.
I concur. So it will all be revealed in 24 hours, won't it, when we get to Q3.
Watch this run from Piastri, by the way. He's on a flying lap at the moment, and he's almost got the track to himself, and certainly this bit to himself. And there, look, he's just gone fastest through the middle sector, which is an 18.8 for the first sector, so he was 4/10 down on Charles Leclerc, and trying to make up time as he went along. Don't forget, Max Verstappen made up 2/10 in the final sector to get pole here a couple of years ago on Fernando Alonso. Liam Lawson out on the track and encountering some slow-moving cars.
Yeah, mate, these guys. Lewis, I don't know.
Yeah, traffic paradise there.
Not the first time I've seen a Ferrari going slowly around that corner. Normally they're dropping people off at the hotel.
Yeah, we always used to have an agreement that we would.
Piastri just gone third fastest.
He put a bet on to say he was going to be the fastest Red Bull on Friday in Monte Carlo.
Not necessarily, but that is the thing about this track. It springs up a surprise or 3 and everything's an opportunity. Let's go to the Williams pit wall, shall we? James Vowles is with us. James, talk us through this session, if you don't mind. Carlos Sainz seemed to be doing things a different way to Alex Albon. What's the thinking behind that?
I mean, What we're experimenting on is whether the medium or the soft is the right tyre for qualifying. You saw last week in Imola, the medium was actually quite a strong tyre in those conditions, and we were evaluating it here. So the way to do it is just an A/B test, but inverted between the two cars.
What's the best tyre for qualifying then?
You'll find out on Saturday, as it turns out.
Oh, such a spoil sport.
James, what are the drivers feeling, just for the viewers to understand what the drivers' feedback would be around Monaco? Because it just looks so frantic, doesn't it? What are they finding is the weakness, the strength? Where do they want to improve?
Yeah, you're spot on, it's frantic. I mean, it's the tracks moving forward so quickly that even in the last 5 minutes, you see cars are taking another half-second out of it. The main feedback at the moment is the front tyres aren't working. That's not unique to Williams, that's across the board. So getting that working just gives you a completely different balance. So as you do lap after lap after lap, your balance changes significantly. That's their main complaint right now.
James, I know it's been a long time since you've been a strategist, but can we just try and talk a little bit about Sunday for the viewers at home, because we've got this unique situation of a mandatory two-stop race.
Speak soon.
Has he hit the barrier?
The barrier covering hanging off the car.
He's kind of driving that at an angle that a plane sometimes lands at. You know, trying to go straight with a bit of side wind.
God, the rear left suspension has had a tough time, isn't it?
Man, I am so stupid. I think I'm just dumb.
Instant feedback from Isaac Hadger. I don't think he's stupid or dumb, but he's very self-critical because there's two mistakes that obviously he's made that are just contributing to the pain for the afternoon.
It's got the pain of a distressed goat, that rear left suspension, hasn't it? It's just crabbing along.
And annoyingly for him, he just put in a good lap, just behind his teammate Lawson.
Yeah.
Up into P6.
He's coming in now. Ted, down to you.
Aye. Wasn't that what he said on a previous excursion earlier in? And yeah, this one, I think I can say 90% chance of this taking much more time and not being able to get out. It doesn't look like everything is good. Oh, he's just shaking his head in the cockpit as Isaac. He was given that second chance by the quick work from the RB, the Racing Bulls mechanics. But yeah, it's cost him. I mean, how many more laps did he get? He got about half an hour's on track time, didn't he?
He did that. We're just seeing a replay now of what happened in the turn one. Back end steps out, and you heard the whack. And then he picked up the cover of of the advertising down there.
Too close.
Too close. We'll just say hit it.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, he is very self-critical. I think he needs to be a bit careful of that, personally, because if he's saying it, people might start to believe it if he keeps saying it over and over again.
But you also say the timing screens never lie. 5th and 6th, Lawson and Hadger. 10th and 11th, Verstappen and Tsunoda.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, he's quick. He can do the lap. He's just going to keep out of the wall. Yeah, it's happened a couple of times in this session. It's not been perfect, but regroup. Tomorrow, he'll come out and he'll be strong. As long as he can get it past this moment in time, mentally, that's the issue, because it can just spiral.
It's interesting that Williams have tried the comparison, the medium tyre to the soft, to see if it is a better qualifying tyre. I almost feel for some further down the grid, Karun Chandok, that in Q1, the medium tyre might not be a bad idea, because at least the performance life of the tyre will go that much longer into the 18 minutes.
Correct. And yeah, and it's, as we were saying before, it's a track where you've got to build the confidence as the session unfolds. But you've also got to be careful with timing, Crofty, haven't you? We've seen, you know, the race directors pretty quick at throwing out a red flag, for example. You know, when Piastri hit the wall, I half expected it to be a VSC for that front wing to be clear, because he was on his way.
Verstappen down.
And Verstappen down there.
The cars are going in reverse.
So he's trying to get it into reverse, JB, and he's struggling. You see the R on the dashboard.
It's happened now.
He's got
it now. It's, yeah, Strasser Rosberg at Mirabeau.
Is that because that's where he used to have a house?
Something like
where
that.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's just like driving down that road.
It's where he went and had a rest in qualifying before finding reverse.
They're finding the limits, aren't they?
Yeah. And you know, we got 6 minutes of the session to go. It's been a tough day for Red Bull, hasn't it? 10th and 11th when the junior team is further up the road. We've seen this in the past, though, where we've seen the Racing Bulls run a higher engine mode on the Fridays, and then inevitably in qualifying that gets swapped around. So let's see how that unfolds. But Ferrari's a big story, even though, by the way, Oscar Piastri now, we missed that. He's only 38 thousandths behind. So Piastri has snuck in between the two Ferraris, but this is still a very impressive day for Ferrari, considering the expectations coming in.
So Piastri went later with those 2 laps that got him up a bit nearer to Charles Leclerc. So there's a bit of track evolution in that as well. Sorry, Curry.
Yeah, no, and I guess it's impressive in Ferrari if your caveat around engine modes is incorrect. If that happens to be true, then it's like, okay, actually they are behind McLaren perhaps.
On board with George Russell into the chicane. It is officially the Nouvelle chicane, but it was the new chicane quite a long time ago.
So you're just saying in a different language, you mean?
Well, Nouvelle is new, isn't it, right?
Well, yeah, but you just said it used to be the new chicane, now it's the Nouvelle chicane.
Well, it's just French and English on that one. Whatever.
It's Italian as well.
Neither of us understand your point here. What are you trying to say?
Trying to say, is it still the new chicane or is it just the chicane? Because it was the new chicane a long time ago when it first came in.
See.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know why I'm bothered.
That is running low, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mercedes up there. A little bit aggressive for the spine, that one, I would say.
Well, they'll certainly analyse the skid block wear, and if they can get away with it, you know, if it's not going to be illegal by the end of the race, they might have found the sweet spot. You never know, but maybe it is a bit too low with Antonelli currently 9th, George Russell running in 12th. Yuki Tsunoda, by the way, going to be investigated after the session for a yellow flag infringement as he not slowed down sufficiently when the yellow flags were out. And there's been plenty of yellow and red flags, blue and white, flying in this session.
Oh, he's got something hanging off under his car.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's rubber. No, it's not.
What's that?
It's a blue tape snake.
So it's once again, it's part of the wraparound. You can see there that the barrier has a wraparound for the sponsors. Now, we've seen this in the past, Singapore possibly, where they've used that kind of polystyrene plastic, and the forces of the cars have just kind of ripped it off, or the cars have gone onto the barrier and ripped it off. And what's wrong with just painting it on there so you're not running the risk of a load of debris, you know, and bits of polystyrene, bits of plastic coming onto the track, because this wraparound is all the way around the track, isn't it?
I guess if you paint it on, that's it.
Yeah, if you paint it on, it's not a problem.
I just mean for the future, when they change sponsors.
But my theory is on this, JB, that it doesn't take much for one of those to get stuck into like the engine air take.
Also, you can repaint it every year.
Yeah.
Well, you could. It would look pretty ugly though, especially if you're painting white on black.
That's what
a lot of white paint needed.
That's what they do elsewhere, but
a lot of tracks are like this now. Pretty much most tracks have. It's not painted. You might think it is, but it's a different type of barrier. It is. It's like that.
To me, you're looking at a risk of a lot of this stuff coming off when cars scrape the barrier, and then it just kind of flies into parts that you don't want, get stuck in a front wing, ruins a race. That sort of issue.
Yes.
I mean, you could get, if you get that in the radiator or the air intake of the engine, you're done.
Yeah.
Or break duct.
You remember when we weren't allowed to throw tear-offs out the car?
In Singapore?
No, in
anywhere.
The whole season. Then you had a pocket.
You had a little pocket in the car. You took it off and put it in your little pocket in the car.
And how many times did you do that?
Yeah, exactly. Well, the trouble is you used to stick to your hand when you went to put it in, and then you'd pick it out and it would fly off again. So, yeah, it wasn't the best.
It didn't last that long, did it?
It didn't last
for a year, maybe?
Yeah.
Just 1 year.
It's windscreen wipers on the visor. That's what it needs.
Exactly.
Then you're sorted.
So we're running high fuel now. It's amazing how different the cars look, isn't it? With high fuel on board. A lot less nimble.
Colapinto a second off Gasly today. I don't think we got to see his lap if there was any obvious mistake, but That's a big margin.
You'd say he didn't really get a lap if he's 2 seconds off. 0.8 seconds off P19. That's a surprisingly big gap.
Yeah.
This is third consecutive year racing here in Monaco. He was in F3, then F2, then F1 for this year, along with Gabriel Bortoleto. 3 different series in 3 consecutive years for Franco Colapinto, who, by the way, is 22 years of age next Tuesday.
Happy birthday in advance.
And talking of Gabriel Bortoleto, here he is.
Oh, I just kissed it there.
Yeah.
On the right. Here we go.
That's fine.
That could be the way to do it.
And then he took a couple of stabs at the apex. You see that? He turned in, wasn't sure, turned back in.
Notice how they don't have that wraparound on that bit of the barrier, because they know that the cars are going to
touch that. Yeah. Yes. You see how different the Red Bull looks through there compared to the Mercedes. It's not hitting the ground under braking. They're running the ride heights very differently.
Red Bull, Fridays from Red Bull, we often hear, don't we? Things aren't great. Things weren't right. And then come Saturday, then Max Verstappen is right up there in contention. Their turnaround is pretty impressive. A different floor, by the way, Verstappen to Tsunoda for today.
I'm wondering how much simulator Max actually does at Red Bull.
He said he was there last week.
Okay.
Oh, in between Imola and here. And obviously does a fair bit at home as well, where he's got his own setup there.
Because the problem for him is that he's able to drive this car the way it is, and most others struggle, pretty much everyone else struggles, to drive his type of setup. So you wouldn't want someone else doing the setup work in the simulator. He's got to do it all himself, basically.
Yeah. Checkered flag then, and this is the final lap of the session for Max Verstappen. Race pace simulations going on. And that's the interruptions, I don't think helped in that session at all to establish a flow, although Max was saying yesterday that as a driver you never really get a flow and a rhythm around Monaco. It's important, but because of all the interruptions it's very tricky to try and achieve. But a couple of interruptions at the wrong time, just as drivers are starting to get really dialed in, and then a little bit later on, first for the Isaac Hadjar crash and then for the Oscar Piastri crash, and Piastri recovered well to end up just under 4/100ths of a second behind Charles Leclerc.
So Charles and Max, the only two to be in the 1:13s on the last couple of laps of that run. Everyone else in the 14s or 15s. So it's pretty quick actually on high fuel.
Yeah,
to be able to do 13s.
It's for the teams, for strategy for Sunday. It's trying to establish a benchmark target lap time that they know will need to be quicker than last year because of the 2 pit stop rule, but not so much that it really destroys the tyres because they're going too quickly.
There's going to be a lot of radio traffic in the race, isn't there? You know, the leaders wondering what other people are doing, how many have pitted, the start of the race, and how much they need to push to pull a gap. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of communication, which I love, and we're going to hear it all.
Yeah, no further action. Yuki Tsunoda for that yellow flag infringement. The stewards have already had a look at it. Confidence boosting afternoon for Liam Lawson. His teammate, had pace as well, and Isaac Hadjar was only a couple of hundredths of a second off him. But Lawson will need that, and it's good to see as well.
Now, front graining, isn't it, on the front, front right tyre?
Well, is this the most amount of right-hand turns as well?
Why is the left still?
Yeah, I know it's the left to get the punishment. It's the most amount of right-hand turns of any track on the calendar, equal with Jeddah for the season. So I just wonder, as Jack doing, watching on, just wonder why you've not got it on the left-hand side as well.
It might be dragging it as well. Through right-hand turns.
I think you've got these, you've got these sort of slow corners where you're just sort of sliding on the front. But as James was saying, the front tyres don't seem to be working in the right way, and that's symptomatic of it, that graining on the top surface. You're just sliding and getting these ripples It's like a mozzarella cheese going through a grater, isn't it?
And that's why I think the Ferraris are getting the lap in. Impressive they're getting the lap in early, because the front is working. They're getting the front working, whereas others are really struggling.
That was noticeable riding on board, wasn't it? Sun is not quite setting yet, but it will be soon, and it'll be dipping down behind the rock. And Monaco, the lights will be switched on.